Hey, Bobby Rahal, we're sitting here, doom and gloom, like what, 6 weeks ago after the Indy 500 and everything that went on there, and all of a sudden here you are sitting at Mid-Ohio. You're home away from home, used to be anyway.
Yeah.
Now I guess it's probably Sebring. No, I'm just joking. Your son almost won the pole yesterday as we speak here before the Honda Indy 200. I mean, 0.0432 seconds is the difference between winning the pole. But the point was, Graham had a hop in his step when he left here on Saturday night.
Yeah.
The whole team did, I think, right?
Well, Christian did a great job too. He's fifth and Jack 11th, so we had 3 cars in the top 11. That's pretty good. But it's, very pleased for Graham. It's been a frankly tough couple years in terms of, we've been able to rescue some finishes every now and then, but from being up front all the time, now we're mid-pack, or we were, and maybe even tail, the last third of the grid. Race day would be different for the most part, but still, you can't win races from back there. And I said to him on Friday after practice in the debrief with his engineers, I said I hadn't seen that much enthusiasm in his voice, and it's like the light bulb had been turned on all of a sudden, and so I think we added some people, we let some people go, and I think the people that we moved up have different philosophies about how setup should be, and I think today, not just today, Elkhart Lake, we had some good cars, and I think this weekend especially, we're seeing the benefit of those different philosophies. And I think we have a long way to go on for Indy, but we've got time to get that done. We're already in the process of making those necessary changes. But for the road courses, we've been pretty good. And this year, Christian was on pole at Indy Grand Prix. Graham was 8th, Jack was 4th, so that was pretty strong. So, but I think we're better now than we were even at those races. So at that race, so I think it's a good sign, but we got to keep going.
What an exercise, though. You can't get much more different from the Indy 500 or Indianapolis Motor Speedway and Mid-Ohio Sports Car course. I'm talking about from the standpoint of engineering and everything else about a car, right?
Yeah, it's a different car, different everything. The thing is, though, is that the racing is so unbelievably competitive. To lose. We lost pole by 4/100ths of a second, but the guy who was third was only 2 100ths behind Graham. I think the first 4 cars are 1/10 of a second over a 2.2 mile track. I don't know what that equates to in terms of distance, but
I call it a blink of an eye.
Is that a foot? Yeah. Is that a 1.5 foot difference? I don't know.
Yeah.
Some math whiz will figure that one out, but it's a big departure from the setup from Indy, and that's why I say we have a long way to go yet on the Indy setup, but we have the time, and we've already begun that process.
But you were pretty emphatic leaving Indy that things were going to change, things had to be changed, and sometimes as a leader or the owner, head coach, whatever you want to call it, those are tough to do, but it's the betterment of the team that you always have to keep in mind, right?
Well,
because you're dealing with people, but also results.
These mechanics work their butts off and long hours and time away from their families, and they're in it because they want to win. They're not in it because they just want to be here, and I'm in it because I want to win. When I drove, I never raced just to be there, thinking, we'll have fun just driving around. I was there to win, and so there was a high degree of, particularly given the fact that we've given everybody the resource that they need to make us one of the best teams, and then yet we can't do that. And at some point you just say, this is absolutely not acceptable, and we're going to do something. We're going to do something about it, because if we don't do that, if we don't lay it down, then everybody that's working on these cars is going to say, well, these guys aren't serious. We're going to go somewhere else. And I think we have some of the best mechanics in the business, and we've built that up over time. And we don't want to see any of these guys leave. So our sponsors, same thing. They're with us because they want to run up front. And but you have good runs like Indy Grand Prix, or like here, or like Elkhart was a good race, and everybody's a spring in everybody's step, and there's probably a bigger one after yesterday.
Yeah. Hey, and last couple things. Number one, the like you brought this up at Indy during the press conference before the race about the commitment. I mean, that palace y'all built over there from a garage standpoint, Garage Mahal. I think it's been used before, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, that shows that you're dead serious about this stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But I guess what I'm getting to here is, you were a driver once. Remember that? I don't think you remember those days.
Oh yeah, not that far back.
And I remember you saying this to a driver one time under your aegis: if a car's not good, tell me what's wrong with it. Meaning, it's the driver's involved as much as anybody else, and it's your car, right?
Yeah.
I mean, have you seen? I don't know. I mean, I think Graham and all of you, Jack and Christian, are very dedicated to their craft.
Oh yeah.
But have you put a little more onus on them too? I mean,
well,
how does that work? I guess.
I think they work pretty hard at it. So, I just think that, I think we didn't do, the difference.
You gotta have confidence in the machine, right?
Well, sure.
Yeah.
And also confidence when you get to the track, you're going to be relatively good right from the start. Yeah. That's the way we were this weekend. We unloaded and we were fast.
Yeah.
And it's too competitive, and you don't have that much track time, that if you come here and you're 2 seconds off the pace, it's hard to make up that 2 seconds, because everybody else is getting better too.
Right.
And so it's I think the aggravating part is having all the resource to make sure we would come to each race ready to go, and then not coming that way.
Yeah.
And that's engineering misdirection and engineering I don't know, lack of understanding or whatever.
Well, you can go down a rabbit hole sometimes.
Yeah.
Really hard to come back out.
Well, we did that last year on the dampers, and spent a lot of money developing these dampers, and they were horrible.
Yeah.
And it took us half the season to figure that one out.
Yeah.
And by that time, in fact, if you looked at our performance, and I brought this up yesterday, our performance here last year was abysmal. And here we are on the other end of the grid.
Yeah.
And what's the difference? It's having the right people doing the right things.
Yeah. Hey, let's think. Is there one guy you brought on? I was trying to press Graham on this yesterday. Is there one or two guys you brought on in the last month or so, or at least elevated or changed, that you think have made a difference?
Well, I mean, there was a fellow named Mike Cicerelli, who's in charge of our damper program. He was elevated, and I think we're seeing the benefit of his experience. I think that's a plus. Of course, we added Stefano Sordo, our technical director. I think he's given direction, and he's very competitive and has set. There has to be expectations and standards.
Yeah.
And everybody's got to live up to that. And those who can't live up to that, then you just got to say, thanks, but good luck.
Yeah.